What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I give you a six-figure MBA level through investing in financial knowledge for free here on YouTube. And the things that people typically spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn in grad school, I give it to you for free here on Financipation, okay? I recently had somebody ask me, Chris, what is your advice about raising sons? It's actually a pretty dope question because I am very blessed. I have two sons and they're the love of my life. I love playing with them. I love teaching them how to become men. And I think this is a question that I'm going to enjoy answering just because from a financial standpoint, your legacy is truly in your heirs, okay? So with that, let's get started. So the first way to raise successful boys is to discipline them. So boys need to be taught very early on there are consequences for their actions. And men that do not get taught lesson very early on, they act out. And it's like this, you can either discipline your boys at home when they are young, or the police are going to discipline them when they get older. And the cops discipline them, they may take their life. Punishments, everybody, and taking away things from your sons and not letting them play with their toys or their friends is something that they need to know because there are consequences to your actions. And the first way to raise successful boys is to teach them the importance, essentially, of having discipline and disciplining them when they get out of line. Next, the next way to raise successful boys is to get them into combat sports. I fought in rings and cages all over the world. I fought in cages in Amsterdam. I fought in rings in Chicago. I fought in rings in Los Angeles, in New York, in Miami, in Singapore, in Asia, all over the world. And one of the things that I was very blessed about doing that was the fact that it taught me essentially how to be disciplined, how to be structured, and how to take care of my body. You should be putting your boys into things like boxing, into things like wrestling, into things like in Muay Thai, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Why? Because the world is not getting any safer. You should have your kids sparring at least once a week. And combat sports, everybody, as I stated earlier, they teach you how to be disciplined. It improves your child's self-confidence, and it teaches your sons how to defend themselves in the event that some scumbag or some weirdo or some predator tries to hurt them. Teaching your kids, essentially everybody, how to defend themselves is one of the best things you can do. And it is better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war. The next way to raise successful boys, everybody, is to get them into combat sports. Next, the next way to raise successful boys is to teach them the importance of playing sports, working out, and taking care of their body. And this piggybacks to what I talked about earlier because for the most part, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu and wrestling are all individual sports. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's something also to be learned from working in a team environment and understanding how to contribute to a team, even when you're not the best person at that particular position or sport. So if you're playing basketball or football or hockey or baseball, whatever the team sport is, from my experience, it was always very, very easy to notice engineers that played team sports versus the engineers that did not, because the ones that played team sports, they were always much easier to work with, they were much easier to get along with, and more important, they knew how to be a part of a team. So team sports, everybody, are just that. They essentially teach you how to contribute. And once again, if God blesses you with the job and you die of a heart attack, unfortunately, at 40 years old, and you're making $100,000 a year, and you die at 40, you just cost your family $2.5 million because you died 25 years prematurely. And that is another benefit to playing sports because they keep you healthy and they keep you in shape. Next, the next way to raise successful boys is to teach them how to be financially literate. This is very clearly called Financipation. And on Financipation, everybody, I teach you how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to build generational wealth. What does it matter if you spend your entire life building millions of dollars only to give it to a lazy, useless nepotism baby who squanders it all in 2 or 3 years? Generational wealth and the process of basically preparing your children so that the next generation has it better than you is literally your divine mission if you are on this road to building generational wealth. And at the end of the day, you should be teaching your boys essentially how to invest into the stock market, the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. You should be teaching the importance of going with quote unquote index funds versus going with mutual funds that are actively managed. You should be teaching your sons and putting them in rooms where they're having legitimate financial conversations about how they plan on making money, what career path they want to go into, and or what trade they want to learn. At the end of the day, everybody, that is your job as a parent. And the next way to raise successful sons is to teach them how to become financially literate. Next, the next way to raise successful boys is to teach them the importance of getting a good education. Teach your sons that they have to study before they play. Studies show that people with bachelor's degrees make around $1.5 million more than people that only have a high school diploma. Studies show that people with master's degrees make around $2.5 million more than people that only have a high school diploma. And studies show that people who have PhDs make around $3.5 million more than people that only have a high school diploma. I very clearly am a black man. And studies show that Black and Hispanic men with master's degrees and PhDs are the only groups of men in America that get paid the exact same as white men for doing the exact same job. Studies also show that Black and Hispanic men with PhDs and with master's degrees on average have unemployment numbers that are 3 times lower than the national average for Black and Hispanic men who don't have a college degree. In other words, everybody, education pays. So while the national unemployment average for minorities is around 4.5%, but for those of us who have degrees in science, in technology, in engineering, in mathematics, in healthcare, in law, and in finance, and who have learned trades, our unemployment numbers are under 1.5%. The next way to raise successful boys is to teach them the importance of getting a good education. The next way to raise successful sons is to teach them the value of hard work. Teach your kids that they have to work before they can play. Teach them how to cut the grass. Teach them how to shovel the snow. Teach them the importance of learning how to use power tools. Teach them how to change a tire. Teach them how to essentially change their oil. Teach them how to wash your car. Hard workers and smart workers never stay unemployed for very long. And I have seen that in my own personal life. And the next way to raise successful sons is to teach them the value of working hard, whether they're playing sports, whether they're learning a trade, or whether they're in the classroom. The next way to raise successful boys is to teach them how to cook. Now, this is going to probably surprise a couple people because unfortunately the finance world is to some extent kind of somewhat similar to the red pill community in certain things. But so as a result of that, a lot of people are surprised when I say, Chris, you're teaching your sons how to cook? Absolutely. Of course. Why would I not? At the end of the day, everybody, it's like this. If you learn how to cook, it saves you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime. Why? Because you're not buying breakfast, lunch, and dinner from Uber Eats or from restaurants. It saves your health. Why? Because you're not buying unhealthy, nasty, processed food from restaurants every meal of your life. And on top of that, your boys are really going to thank you about this because a man that can cook, it does improve your dating options significantly. As a happily married man who has 2 boys, I can also say this. My sons legitimately, when they see me in the kitchen, they say, Daddy, can we help? And it is a great bonding time between a father and his sons. The next way to raise successful sons is to treat their mother with dignity and with respect. Now, this is one of those things that should honestly kind of come without me having to say it, but I'm just gonna flat out say it. At the end of the day, a boy's father should be the first hero that he has. A father should be a girl's first love. So at the end of the day, if you want your sons to love you and you want them to have respect for women, treat their mother with dignity and respect. Men that respect their children's mothers, they don't badmouth the mother in front of their kids. They don't abuse them. They don't hit them. They don't say crazy things to them. And additionally, I also want to say this. This does not necessarily have to be a two-way street. What do I mean by that? Fellas, if you're listening to this podcast right now, if you and your mother, if you and your children's mother are not together, do not badmouth that mother in front of your kids, even if she's doing that to you. Because at some point, your sons are going to grow up and they're going to basically ask their mother, why are you always badmouthing dad? He never badmouths you. And eventually, children are able to tell which parent was at fault. So if that's the case, that in turn is going to make you proud because your sons are going to realize that you're not the one badmouthing that parent. And as a result, they're going to love you even more. So the next way to raise successful boys is to treat the mother with dignity and respect, even if it's only a one-way street. The next way to raise successful sons is to teach them the greatness of their history. I very clearly, once again, am a black man. And my sons will not have to go to a public school or a university to learn their history. They're going to learn that ish at home. My sons are going to learn about Elijah McCoy, a black inventor that created the steam locomotive engine. My sons are going to learn about Garrett Morgan, who invented the gas mask in World War I. My sons are going to learn about Charles Drew, who invented the blood transfusion that saved millions of lives during World War II. My sons are going to learn about Lewis Latimer, the real person who actually invented the light bulb, not Thomas Edison. My sons are going to learn about Eugene Russell, who invented the cell phone. My sons are going to learn about Katherine Johnson, a mathematician who essentially wrote algorithms and calculations that allowed us to land on the moon. My sons are going to learn about Dr. Kazima Corbett, who invented the COVID vaccine. Oh, and by the way, because my wife is Trinidadian, My sons are also going to learn about the great Indian, Trinidadian, Caribbean history. They're going to know about individuals like Anil Kokram, a Trinidadian engineer and scientist. They're going to learn about people like Michael Fisher, a physicist, a chemist, and a mathematician. They're going to learn about Camille Waldron Allen, a space scientist and a NASA aerospace engineer. And they're going to learn about Dr. Wayne Frederick, who's the president of Howard University. America, everybody, is great because of diversity, not in spite of it. And the next way to raise successful sons is to teach them the importance of their history. That's whether they are Irish, whether they are Italian, whether they are Jewish, whether they are Arab, whether they're Indian, or whether they are Black. Next, the next way to raise successful sons is to teach them to be respectful to women. Now, when you factor in the amount of men that are homosexual, the amount of men that are in prison, the amount of men that don't have any jobs, the amount of men that are mentally handicapped, the amount of men that don't have a reproductive organ, and the amount of men like myself that are married, there are roughly 25 women for every single heterosexual man. So as a result of that, if you teach your sons how to take care of their bodies and to be educated and to be good with their money, they are literally always going to have dating options when it comes to women. And as a result of that, because they're going to have a large plethora of women to choose from, I'm going to teach my sons how to be respectful to women and how to choose the right partner. Because at the end of the day, a man that selects the right woman for marriage and to have his kids with is literally unbeatable. Look no further than LeBron James and Barack Obama. Next, the next way to raise successful sons is to teach them the importance of being respectful to women. And lastly, the last way to raise successful sons is to spend time with them. Oftentimes as an entrepreneur and as an engineer and as a senior level exec to some extent in corporate America, I find myself generally pulled in a lot of different directions, to the point where sometimes my wife and my kids have to say, "Daddy, stop doing financialization." Where my wife has to tell me, "Chris, you're working too hard. Sit back and spend time with the kids." And at the end of the day, everybody, that is a balancing act that I have to make, but it's also a balancing act that all good fathers have to make. Because at the end of the day, kids don't care how much money you make. They care how much time you spend with them. And at the end of the day, you have to, as a father, you have, as a parent as well, you have to be the one to say, okay, I'm spending too much time on my career. I'm spending too much time on my business. Let me take my sons, let me throw them a football, let me throw them a basketball, let me take them out for ice cream. Let me teach them essentially how to be a man. And what I find is this: the last way to raise successful sons is to step away from what you were doing on the outside and spend time with those boys. Take them camping, take them hunting, take them fishing, take them go shoot some baskets and things like that. Teach them how to talk to a girl, teach them how to get a girl's number. That's the kind of thing that 30 years later, your sons still remember that daddy taught me that. You know why I know that? Because that's what my father did for me. This channel, everybody, is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about investing money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. You can book a one-on-one session with me below. I am not giving financial advice on this channel. You got to make responsible decisions based on the thorough, independent research that you do for yourself. Lastly, please follow me. Check me out on www.therealfinancialpatient.com. Check me on Instagram, @thereal_financialpatient. My Spotify is Financialpatient. My TikTok is Financialpatient. And my Facebook page is Financialpatient. And check out my financial blog as well, Financialpatient, okay? And check out some of my digital products below. Full disclosure, I went to undergrad for free. I obtained over $300,000 to get my engineering degree for free. Check out this book right here that can be purchased on Amazon, and hit that notification button below. Please like, please comment, please share, please subscribe. It's your boy Chris. I'm out. Peace.